Game 3 of the ALCS is currently underway. The Mariners are up 2-0 in that series on the Blue Jays. The Dodgers hold a 2-0 lead over the Brew Crew in the NLCS. Game 3 of that one is Thursday night in Los Angeles. Welcome to the 211th episode of ATL Prime Sports. I'm JJ Jurjevich. Joining me this evening is my co-host and the PA voice of your Rome Emperors and Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets, Larry Gardner, and of course our fabulous producer, Wayne Ridenauer, in wonderful Memphis, Tennessee. No Todd Corder tonight. He is out supervising some umpires up in the Woodstock area. So you can catch us all at ATL Prime Sports on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, of course, Apple and Spotify. And as always, if you like the content, we do this for free. We do it for y'all. Give us a like, give us a subscribe, give us a thumbs up. Some of you might watch this content, think you are subscribed. Just double check. It's free, and we'll keep it that way forever. Again, personal Twitters at JJ Get You One for myself at RWY Jr. For Wayne at LG for Real Though for Larry Gardner, and at Corder Todd for TC Todd Corder, who again is out this evening. Larry, how you doing, man?
Hey, man, JJ, I am doing wonderful. Thank you for asking, but I'm not doing as well as Drake May, who continues to lead the New England Patriots to a AFC East division leading record. He's doing great, man. He's in beat Buffalo on a Sunday Night Football. He turned around and beat New Orleans. Are New England for real?
Yeah,
We'll yet and see, but we're doing well, man. Thank you for asking. How about yourself?
Man, I'm doing great. I appreciate you asking. Not as well as NBA fans, though, as the NBA regular season tips off next week already. Crazy it's already here. Hawks open up versus Toronto next Wednesday night at 7:30 in State Farm Arena. And I'm looking forward to the Kristaps Porzingis era to begin in Atlanta. Wayne, how are you, man?
Oh, I'm doing pretty good, but Dave would be on tonight giving the GSU football report, but surprisingly, he has an exhibition basketball game to call tonight. Basketball season with college starting to start a little too early. So I'll give a little bit of a football recap. Of course, the previous game last week, they fell to App State. First half wasn't too bad, but if you watch that game, there was a super wild third quarter with lots of scoring. And even the stats, time of possession, total yards, they were relatively close for such a high-scoring game. So, I think maybe the one interception had something to do with it. But there were some bright sides for the team. They had Cameron Brown and T.J. Finley are still kind of sharing quarterback duties. Finley did have the one interception, but Cameron Brown not only had the most yards passing, but had the most yards rushing, along with Rashid Amos. I think the guy's name is pretty high up on that stat. And for receiving, Ted Hurst, Javon Robinson, had the nine catches each.
Nine receptions each.
Yeah, and then on the defensive side, Josiah Robinson with total of 8 tackles, 1 solo tackle, and highlight from that is Richard Kramer had the 1 sack, and so I would say those are highlights. Next week or this coming weekend, we've got Georgia State's going to be at Georgia Southern. So remember, State, not Southern. And that's going to be 7 p.m. Eastern, October the 18th. And you can tune in on the Georgia State app to listen to Dave Cohen, WGTJ, WRAS, or you can use the Radio Garden app and locate it. Just type in GSU football and it'll take you right to it. So that's your short Georgia State football report.
I like it. What's on tap for today's show? Are the Falcons as legit as Michael Penix Jr. says they are? Georgia versus Georgia Tech is shaping up to be a good one. Let's talk about both squads, and we'll do our pick six, infamous pick six, might I add, right here on ATL Prime Sports. The Falcons are now 3-2 after a big Monday Night Football win over the Bills. How legit is this team? We'll ask that in a second, but I will give side note about Larry's opening how you doing comment. Man, with the Falcons' help, the Patriots are now in first place in the AFC East. How does that sound, boys? Huh?
Yeah.
But let's go over that. How legit is this team, Larry? I mean, I got my thoughts. 2 weeks ago, we were all like, same old Falcons, 30-0, lost to Carolina. Carolina owns us. Team looks lost. Then they fire Ike Hilliard, the wide receiver coach. They move Robinson from the press box, coach's box, down to the field. And you've seen 2 wins versus 2 good teams. How legit is this team, Larry?
I think if they quit playing to the level of their competition and play to the numbers that are on the back of their football cards, this is easily a top 7 team in the NFL. The problem that I have with that is I don't offensively, we're still Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde, because everybody knows Bijan Robinson is number 1 on the field, number 7 on the field, but number 1 in your hearts. First overall pick in my fantasy draft, by the way. Keep up the good work. But this team knows it is Robinson and London. And if you bottle those 2 up, nobody else is stepping up. Tyler Algier is doing well to be the backup running back spot, but this team still needs a number 2 legit receiver option. Kyle Pitts, the way that they're utilizing him, to me, still yet does not make sense offensively. As big of a target he is, it makes no sense why they're not utilizing him down the field. Those are my only beefs. Defensively, if you'd have told me at the beginning of this season that this team would already have 15 sacks, not even at the midway point of the season, I'd have took that bet all the way to Las Vegas and back and said, "You're crazy. Give me the under all day, every day, and twice on Sunday."
Seems like the pass rush has improved.
Man, a lot. Wayne, absolutely. To that point, it is almost like a no-name defense where there's not really a game changer, one-man play that's a wrecking ball. It is literally the sum of its parts defensively, where everybody has bought in, and Jeff Ulbrich has installed a play with your hair on fire intensity. So to answer the question and bring it back in, I think they are a legit team, but they still have to discover some offensive identity outside of Bijan Robinson in order for them to get to the next level that the Eagles, the Chiefs, so on and so forth have been, and even Detroit, and now you keep going on. But the upper echelon of the NFL, because you still got to beat the ones looking up right above you in the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who are 5-1, and they're currently your division leaders. So there's a lot still left to play for, but they've got to get some offensive identity.
Yeah, I agree with you. How legit is this team, to bring the question back? They're pretty legit. Top 2 in both yardage gained and given up in the NFL. So that's second overall in the offensive category, over 300, nearly 350 yards a game. I think it's like 358 or something. 378 in total yards gained per play. And first in the NFL in defense, only 253 plus yards per game there. So kind of the same sentiment, Larry, as you. If you would have told me nearly halfway through this football season that those 2 stats were to be true, I would be like, we're in a fantasy land. This is fantasy football. But look, they got wins over Minnesota, the Commanders, and the Bills, who all have 3 or 4 wins at this point in the season. They're all 500 or better. This team can only get better. You mentioned the offensive identity. I'm going to take that one step further. They got to get better in the red zone, fellas. If that's going to be the end-all, be-all of the Falcons, it might be this. They are nearly last in the NFL, 27th in the NFL in red zone TD percentage, only scoring 43.7% of the time, a touchdown. No field goals, we're just talking touchdowns. They have to be able to punch that ball in the end zone a little bit better when they get in the red area. And that's where Kyle Pitts comes in. That's where hopefully we can get Darnell Mooney healthy. That's where maybe Kerry Washington, number 82, who had a great downfield block on that 81-yard touchdown run by Robinson last week. Maybe you get guys in there that that start to gel in the red zone and get this offense to be more elite in that area. And if they get to be elite at that level, if they are punching the ball in from 3 yards out with Bijan Robinson or Tyler Algier, which we hope, but they struggle when they get in that 15, 20-yard line area. So they got to get better in that, but I do think this team is fairly legit. 2 weeks ago, I would have told you they're dead in the water, but Raheem Morris, credit to where credit is due. I criticized Raheem Morris for weeks, saying time management issues. Yeah. Zach Robinson's not getting the play clock in. You have a timeout and then a delay a game 2 or 3 straight weeks to start the season. Those type of things are all coaching. That has been cleaned up to an extent.
Yeah.
If that continues, this team can continue to climb. Wayne, how legit do you think this team is as a Falcons fan?
Well, I think they're at this point so legit that I'm thinking about going out and making another prediction. And the weird thing about this prediction is there's a chance that the Super Bowl could be the New England Patriots and the Atlanta Falcons for the rematch.
Oh, boy.
But one thing I do want to say about this red zone issue, you know, I know that the field is way more condensed and that you've got a lot more players per square inch on the defensive side, but I really think I'd like to see a lot more offensive line schemes or movements to focus on running plays and quit trying to pass the ball in the red zone. Unless, you know, once you start doing that and they pull everybody up, you catch somebody in the end zone open. But I really think the running needs to be the key factor to focus on. And again, those offensive line schemes with how they pull and break and open holes, because last week even I saw some holes open up on some other games that were just wild. I was like, were they expecting a delivery? Because it looked like a truck could have backed in there.
And to piggyback on your point, Atlanta is the number 1 rushing offense in the NFL. So I could see that button being pressed a lot more. Just hand it off to Beyond. I don't know the gentleman's name. I was watching CBS Sports Network earlier today, and they said, hey, 25 touches, give him 30, see what happens. See what happens if you give him 30 touches. And I go, I can't hate on that. The guy is having an unbelievable season. He's nearly at 1,000 yards in total offense already, total yardage. I mean, the guy is the new Christian McCaffrey, and he's in an Atlanta Falcons uniform. It's really exciting to watch because this team is really starting to play to their potential that Larry, you and I have mentioned for years. This team is stockpiling first-round draft picks. It's about time someone puts the combination together to get those guys to play decent ball. Your final thoughts on the Atlanta Falcons and how legit this team is?
Yeah, you got a lot to do. You still got a lot left to play for. You're going to have the 2 leaders in yards from scrimmage playing against each other this week in San Francisco with Robinson and McCaffrey. Something has to give. Kyle Shanahan, the guru offensively, Ulrich, the guru defensively, what do they call it? The unstoppable force and the immovable object are going to have to converge on the West Coast. Look, if you're going to be as legit as you said you are, Michael, you better step your game up this Sunday.
Yep. My final thoughts are about this defense, man. Ororo, Harrison, Onyemata, Ellis, Diablo. I mean, they're all just playing great football right now. The Walker, James Pierce Jr. are both getting after the quarterbacks. It's really good to see these young guys start gelling for a change instead of these Tack McKinleys, these Vic Beasleys coming in and coming out, coming in and coming out. Bowman as well. Xavier Watts playing pretty good. A.J. Terrell had a pretty good game last week. So mine's just shouting out this defense yet again because this is truly one of the best defensive units I've seen through 5 games as an Atlanta Falcon fan and as a broadcaster in general. They've had turnover-friendly defenses like the 16 defense that went to the Super Bowl. They were able to turn the team over. This one just does it with bend but don't break, and I absolutely love it. Guys, any quick final thoughts before we head out? Let's go ahead and move from the NFL to college football. 2 ranked schools here in the Atlanta area for the first time since 2015. Let's look at the Bulldogs and the Yellow Jackets. Let's take a timeout real quick. And let's give some consideration to that school up north, the Kennesaw State Owls, baby. Well, undefeated in conference play right now. Absolutely loving that story. I think they won 4 in a row for the first time as an FBS program. So love to see where they are picking up, coming out of the FCS into FBS. I love seeing them come in there. But yes, let's talk about the two Power 4 schools in the area, both ranked for the first time since 2015. And guys, it's exciting times here in college football. This Mercedes-Benz game coming up the day after Thanksgiving, they're calling it the Atlanta Gridiron Classic. Guys, this is going to be a huge ball game. You could see one undefeated and one-loss team in this ball game. If Georgia Tech is able to take care of business this weekend, this game could be the biggest in the rivalry's history, and it's at a neutral site, which makes it all the much sweeter. Let's look at these ball clubs. Larry, you've seen this Georgia Tech team a lot in person. What do you think? How far can this team go, man?
Honestly, and I've said this on record and off the record, I honestly believe it'll be Georgia Tech and Miami in the ACC championship game. And to me, I'll even take it a step further. I believe if Georgia Tech and Georgia played this Saturday, that Tech would be favored. And the reason that I think Tech would be favored is because I've watched Georgia play all season long and not be able to stop anybody running the football. That's a problem. And that's something that Georgia has not been able, like the Georgia teams that we've seen of the national championship years, like really since COVID and the 2 back-to-back title years and since, the defense has been the coup de grace. It's been the stamp of approval. It has been the mark of what Georgia football is. And I really saw it really being exposed at the Tennessee game, to watch what Joey Aguilar was able to do from the quarterback position, not only just torching them through the air, but getting yards on the ground too. If you do that with Haynes King, they'll burn you to death. So to watch what Haynes King has been able to do, why he isn't in the Heisman talk, I don't know. I'm not a Tech fan. I just work for him. I'm just telling y'all. Listen, the guy's legit. That Tech team is a hard-nosed, shovel pail, hard metal lunch pail, hard hat, tough-nosed team. And 6-0, first time since 2015, 2010, whatever it is, first time in ages that they've had 50,000 plus at Bobby Dodd Stadium for a football game. When I tell you Tech is for real, y'all better pay attention. And to see what Brent Key has done since taking over for Jeff Collins and what the buy-in that he's gotten from this team, both offensively and defensively, to me, I think the only hang-up Tech has coming up that could catch them could be Syracuse. That, to me, would probably be the one because I saw Syracuse hanging there with Tennessee as well. But Georgia Tech, if you've not been paying attention, you need to pay attention to this team because offensively and defensively, they've had a great season so far.
Thankfully that Syracuse game's at home, I believe.
Yeah, I think it's homecoming to be actually. I have to go check my schedule, but I think it's homecoming.
That's a heck of a game for homecoming. But I don't know if you remember this or not, but even in the text that we send, back and forth, I've been saying that the conference with the best record overall for their top teams is probably going to be the ACC because the SEC and the Big Ten are just going to beat each other, all over, and you're going to end up with probably an undefeated Miami and Georgia Tech.
Yeah, that Georgia Tech is at home versus Syracuse. I think the two toughest stretches of games they'll have in terms of back-to-back the rest of the way are this weekend and next. And then, of course, they'll end with Georgia, but the prior week, they have Pittsburgh, who did have a big win over the weekend. But I do think this will be the two toughest stretches of games remaining for Georgia Tech. And I think they'll go as far as quarterback Haynes King can take them. Guy can do it all. You mentioned it, Larry. He's leading the team in rushing as well. 400, nearly 500 yards rushing, if not right at it. 971 yards in the air, 4 touchdowns, only 1 interception. 87 carries, 440 yards to be exact on the ground. I was pretty close. 9 touchdowns in that category. So the guy can run, the guy can throw. And Georgia Tech, this guy, he leads the most balanced team in the country. They rush for 238 yards a game. That's what they pass for. 238 yards a game. Very balanced offense. He's one of the 15 best quarterbacks in terms of QBR in the country. And if you compare that with the Dogs, what we are doing, we're comparing these two teams right now and talking about both of them. You have two of the best quarterbacks in the country right here in the Atlanta area. Gunnar Stockton in Athens, the third best quarterback in the country in that category. So you're talking about one hell of a football game and clean old-fashioned hate coming up in Mercedes-Benz Stadium. You're talking about a hard ticket. That thing's going to bump up. Preseason, $115 for a ticket. Right now, yeah. I bet you it's way high.
500.
I'll go take a look. Let's go see what tickets are right now.
I'm gonna guess 500.
Yeah, I bet that second level. I bet that ain't even bottom level. I bet the second level is 500.
Let's see. Tickets as low as 162, so it's already up about $50. Like I said, about 115 the last time I checked. So that's the get-in price. So you're talking good seats. You're talking $300-400 for sure, fellas. But yeah, no, Georgia Tech, I think this is a college football playoff team as it stands right now. Now, there's still a lot of football left, and we're judging just by, 5 or 6 weeks here. And I think they've showed us that they can win when they're playing bad. They went to Wake Forest. They were down 17 points in that ball game. Sure, they took advantage of a bad call, but that's what teams do. Georgia did it last week too. Good teams take advantage of what's the word? I wouldn't say bad officiating in the Georgia game. I think that was such a bang play, but that was bad officiating in that Wake Forest game. Well, I should say, excuse me, for that one play, and I'm talking about the fumble. The game overall was terribly officiated, to get a quick comment on that. But going back to Georgia Tech, they took advantage of a call that went their way and put Wake Forest out of their mind. And you look forward, they beat Virginia Tech by 15 points last week. I had to go down and look at my notes, who they've struggled with over the years, even as a bad Virginia Tech team or a good Virginia Tech team. They've struggled with them. So I like this Georgia Tech team. I like the balance. I like what Buster Faulkner's been able to do. Move the ball. It's put a little triple option element in it still. And Georgia Tech's been able to move the ball just about better than anybody in the country. And in terms of points, they're right there. They're about top 25 in terms of points per game on offense. So Georgia Tech's right there, fellas. Any final thought on Georgia Tech? And we'll dissect Georgia for a little bit. Larry, your thoughts on the Dogs? If you want to get one more quote in or two on Georgia Tech, go ahead.
Yeah, not a problem. Just a couple of nuggets that I have in my personal notes that I get is the Jackets are 3-0. Duke is 3-0. They are playing each other this Saturday. They're both undefeated in ACC play. Jackets are 3-0 for the first time since 2011. With a win on Saturday, they would move to 4-0 in conference action for the first time since 1998, when they went on to win a share of the ACC championship. Of course, the game against Tech and Duke features the number 1 and number 2 quarterbacks in the ACC currently in Haynes King and Duke's Darian Mensah. They rank first and second in the ACC in total offense. Haynes King is second, of course, at 282 yards per game. Mensah at 298 yards per game. So, It's going to be something to watch come Saturday with Tech and Duke. I know that ain't something that's going to grab your attention with as many ranked opponents that are playing each other this Saturday on the docket. But I'm telling you, for the first time in a long time, pay attention to what's going on the flats.
Absolutely. Wayne, any final thoughts on Georgia Tech?
No. It's just I'm excited to see the ACC championship game, because neither one of those teams will have played each other during the season.
Yeah, if it is Georgia Tech and Miami, and it's going to be very interesting down the stretch when they don't play each other. There's also a third team in the mix. Duke is favored by 1.5 currently on Bet ESPN or ESPN Bet, however you want to look at it. So that should be a battle. I'll move on to Georgia. I already mentioned Gunnar Stockton, the third best quarterback in terms of QBR in the country. He's 70% throwing the football completion rating. 6 touchdowns, 1 interception. He's doing a good job of taking care of the football. I think Georgia's in the college football playoffs at the end of the season. That's the question I ask everyone. Where does Georgia end the season? I think you could see both of these teams in the Atlanta area end up in the college football playoff. And guys, how cool would that be for this city, for this state, to stamp our high school football and college football for the country to see, like, hey, we're back fully. Georgia Tech's back. Kennesaw State's winning. Hopefully Georgia Southern and Georgia State can get back up to their winning ways. And you can have all the major FBS programs in this state be successful. And I'd love to see that. But yeah, Georgia Tech making waves. Guys, your final thoughts on Georgia, and we'll move on to the infamous pick six, guys.
Well, Georgia's got quite an exciting game coming up, and it almost makes me wish we could have had some Ole Miss and Georgia people on here today. But that's on me for not letting JJ know. Hey, call some people.
I should have called Ole Miss Evie and David Walker, but it completely got away from me. And then I texted
me too.
David,
I didn't.
And it just sorry, Ole Miss Evie. Sorry, David. We apologize. Should be one hell of a ball game in between the hedges this weekend. That's for sure. But UGA, I'll go one more comment, Larry, and then I'll throw it over to you. UGA is crazy to me. This is really odd, but Georgia is 70% on 4th down conversions. They're 7 of 10 on the year, so they've been really good on 4th down, but the complete opposite on 3rd down. They're only 46.2% on 3rd downs, and they got to get that stat up over 55, 60%, close in that range. That's what good teams convert on 3rd down, about 55, 60% in there. And if you're able to do that and turn it around, you'll see how quickly Georgia will turn that quick start around, because most of those 3rd downs come in the first half. The second half of that game in Auburn, it's like they were a 3rd down machine. They got 4 or 5 in a row on that last drive to seal it, and a couple 4th down conversions as well. Auburn did not get them, and look, we could talk about that game all day long. Lots of the national media has already covered it. You've heard both sides. If you want my opinion on it, guys, I'll give it. I think whatever call on the field was made, it would have stood. That's how close that call was. If it was a touchdown, it would have been a touchdown. But in my personal opinion, I do think, and I forget there's 2 Georgia players. One guy punched it right at the beginning, and another guy came in and punched it out. And the violence that ball was punched out with in the back camera made me think it was a fumble, because the ball punched through, again, a tush-push style formation. And I'll go ahead and finish my comment with this. That formation should be thrown out of college and pro football. It is too hard to officiate. Georgia was offsides. Georgia Tech moved the snap forward before snapping it, so it could have been a false snap. You could have had everything go wrong in that play and back up one of the teams, or Georgia an inch forward, or Georgia Tech 5 yards back. I think it's such a hard play to officiate that's why that call can't correctly be made, and whichever call on the field was made was what was going to stand. And that's my final thoughts on Georgia. They got to get better on 3rd down. They're dominant on 4th down. And if they can get better early on in games, they should be just fine. Larry, your final thoughts on Georgia, and you can go into Georgia Tech again. I don't care. It's a fun discussion here.
No, you're good. And I agree with you wholeheartedly. And I even want to give, I want to give Gunnar Stockton his props. And I think a lot of people, I think they sleep on what Gunnar is. He's so even keel. And he doesn't get too high. He doesn't get too low. He continues to play well. He's gone through a lot of ups and downs and adversity so far this season, but he continues to make sure the Bulldogs are in every game that they play, and to me, he reminds me a lot, and I'm going to show my age here, but he reminds me a lot of David Green, just a right-handed version. Yeah. He's going to do what the coaches ask him. He's going to execute the game plan. He's gonna be tough as nails. He's gonna be gritty. And the hard thing with Georgia, as opposed to Georgia Tech, almost every week from now until the Georgia Tech game, you're gonna face a ranked opponent. Yeah, that's how good the SEC is. Whereas with Miami, nobody ranked. Georgia Tech, one ranked maybe in Georgia. You know, it's night and day difference when you're talking about the ACC and the SEC. It is a gauntlet every week, and Georgia has to be up for it every week. And it doesn't get any easier welcoming Lane Kiffin and Ole Miss to Sanford Stadium here on Saturday.
It's going to be one heck of a ball game, a top 9 matchup, and it's just going to be pandemonium in Athens at 3:30 on Saturday afternoon for sure. Guys, any final thoughts on college football before we get to the infamous pick six?
No, I'm ready to pick. You know how many I want to pick? I want to pick 6.
Guys, last week was a tough week for everybody but me. 4-2 I went, 2-4 for everyone else. I got lucky, and the only 2 I missed was the Oregon loss to Indiana and Missouri. I hit on Ohio State and our 3 NFL games, thanks to the Atlanta Falcons. 4-2 got me back on the right track. 2-4 for everyone else. Larry, you're 22-25 overall. 1 game above Todd, who is 21-26. Wayne, you're taking the cake at 26-21. I'm 1 game behind at 25-22. So very close. Probably the closest we've been this early in the season.
Yeah, and no ties. No ties.
And no pushes yet. So I think we only had 1 last year, which is crazy. Yeah. And a couple years ago, Larry, I think we had 3 or 4.
Yeah, it was a lot of them.
It was a lot of them. So the hooks prevent that from happening. We've had a lot of hooks. We have all hooks this week. So nothing even about it. Our first game, arguably the most intriguing of the entire weekend. The number 10 LSU Tigers. Family. 5-1 at number 17, Vanderbilt Commodores. Golly, that sounds good to say. Number 17, Vanderbilt. 5-1. Vandy's home favorites, 2.5 points. Over under in that one, the total is 48 and a hook. That's Saturday, noon Eastern Standard Time on ABC. Folks, Vandy being the favorite versus a ranked opponent breaks a 176 game streak in which they were the underdog versus ranked opponents. That's right. First time since 1978 this occurrence happened. That's right, folks. It's nearly what? Oh, I'm terrible at math. It's nearly 50 years. Ha, that's crazy. And the last time they were favored versus LSU, folks, 48. My God. It just tells you how good how far this Vanderbilt team has come under Clark Lee. Vandy off a bye week. LSU held its opponents to 11.8 points per game. Good for 5th best defense scoring-wise in the country. Guys, I've gone back and forth on this game 100 times. I left it right here. I'm taking LSU in the points. I don't like it. I am not confident on this game whatsoever. Diego Pavia can run it. He can throw it. Clark Lee coaches them up. They're in Nashville, which has turned out to be a really nice home field advantage for the Commodores. But something tells me that LSU is going to come in here, play a complete game. They're going to score 30 points on offense for one of the first times of the season, if not the first time this season. And I think they're going to start establishing themselves as one of the top teams in the SEC with the win over Vandy this weekend. But again, I'm not confident on it. Larry, what say you?
No, I'm in the same boat for a couple of different reasons, but just a little tidbit that I took in my little note taking. Against FBS competition, LSU has not scored more than 23 points. And that number dips to 20 opposite power conference teams. Mm-hmm. So even though LSU's defense is excellent, it's a concerning trend heading into this road game. So for me, is favorite as Vandy is, I think LSU is still going to be LSU. And I think they're going to come to Nashville, and I think they're going to be able to I think they're going to win outright.
I do too, Larry. Again, I'm not that confident on it because Vandy is a really good team, and this isn't your average Vanderbilt defense. They actually get after the quarterback a little bit. They tackle for loss, and they still average over 43 points a game this season going in. But that stat you said is very true and very alarming. Todd took Vandy to cover at home as the first-time favorite in nearly 50 years. Wayne, what say you?
Well, I'm going to say LSU, where the men play football and the women do too. I don't know if that's true or not, but they're pretty tough down there. And with bringing that kind of attitude up to Nashville, I expect no more than LSU to beat this team, probably by 10 points.
That's the best. The best thing I've heard. That was very funny. We know it's not true, LSU fans. We're just kidding.
Yeah, well, I'm just saying they're tough, and when they come, be ready. It don't matter who, but they're coming.
I like it. So it's a 3-for-1. 3 of us for the Tigers, 1 of us for the Doors, and that is Todd Corder. Our second game of the day. It's arguably the most. It is the best game in terms of top 10 teams and whatnot, but point spread wise, it's up there. Ole Miss number 5, 6-0, undefeated, travels to number 9, Georgia, 5-1, who just had their home win streak upended by Alabama a couple weeks ago. Georgia is a surprising 7.5-point home favorite. The over/under in this one is 54.5. 3:30 p.m. on ABC. Wayne, what say you?
Well, I'm going to go ahead and take Ole Miss and the points on this one. I'm not sure if they're going to need the points because I feel like Lane Kiffin is, at this point, angry at everybody who's talking about him or trying to say that they're not going to be able to, finish out the SEC unbeaten. And I think he's going to try everything he can to go undefeated this year. And Georgia may fall because of that.
Interesting. Lane Kiffin does have 2 wins over Kirby, and that's some of the most wins against him and in all the country. The only other team that has more is Kalen DeBoer now has 2 already on him. So it kind of interesting. We know the other guy. LSU, Ole Miss for Wayne, Georgia for Todd. Larry, what say you?
To me, this challenge seems pretty straightforward. Can a more explosive Ole Miss offense handle a sturdy and tough Georgia defense? I'm going to take Ole Miss, and I'm going to tell you why. I've seen Trinidad Chambliss literally look like the second coming of Lamar Jackson at times, executing Ole Miss's offense. I've seen everybody throw everything at him but the kitchen sink. And to be a relative unknown person coming into the season, he has handled Lane Kiffin's offense well. He's excelled under pressure. And I think Lane's going to hold him to a higher standard. And if you want to make a name for yourself, my guy, you beat Georgia in Sanford Stadium.
Yeah.
And you do it, But I think right now, offensively, these offensive minds have been giving Kirby and that defense problems. So 7.5 is a little bit too much for me. I think this is going to be a 7-point game. I think Georgia wins, but I think it's a 7-point game, like 27-20.
Yeah, again, Georgia to cover for Todd. Man, these first 2 games were so hard to pick. Honestly, this might be, in terms of just choosing the spread, might be the hardest decisions I've made this season. In about 4 of these, I've just gone either way. The first 2 were both that. I took Georgia to cover, but I'm not, again, my confidence level isn't that high. But I think Georgia can win this game on defense, and here's why. Georgia can we'll stick with the defense. I got ahead of myself there. But Georgia's defense is pretty solid, a top 20 unit, allowing only 17 points per game. The game will be won and lost on explosive plays. Ole Miss is 6th in the country with 43 plays at 20-plus yards, while Georgia's defense has only allowed 17 of those plays. So Georgia's defense does a really good job. I think they're 24th in the country and not allowing that explosive play. So they do a good job of containing it. And Georgia runs the ball extremely well. They got 4 backs that can really move the ball. They got one that can do it through the air and Cash Jones. Then they got Frazier, McCray, and Bowens. And look, Ole Miss struggles. They're one of the worst teams in the country at stopping the run. And I think that's what drew me to Georgia right there. They give up over 157 yards per game. I think Georgia's going to lean heavy on their screen and their run game. I think Gunner will make a couple big throws over the top. After that run game, they put an extra guy in the box to stop it. I think they'll go over top, and I think that'll be the difference in the game. I think Georgia will hit an explosive play. I think Georgia's defense will prevent the explosive plays. I like Georgia to cover at home in somewhat of a shootout. I think it's going to be about a 40-30 game, or like a 30-20 type game, right around that 54.5 mark. So if you're betting that, be careful with that. But it's just it's just nuts. Georgia has to start fast in this game to have a chance. They're 130th in first half quarterback completions on defense. So that means in the first half, quarterbacks are just completing passes at will on Georgia's defense. They have to step that up. If they can cut that stat down, if they can just get to the 70s in that number, let's just cut that number in half. I think Georgia wins this game by 10 points. I like the dogs to cover. Again, Georgia for Todd, and then 2 Ole Miss in the points. This game could go either way. Our third game of the Pick Six, the number 20 Southern California Trojans come in at 5-1 to South Bend, Indiana, to take on the 13th ranked Fighting Irish and the Notre Dame version. They're 4-2. Notre Dame, crazy spread here as well. They're 9.5-point favorites. The total in this one's 61.5. 7:30 p.m. on NBC. Larry, what say you, buddy?
I think that number is way too high. I think this game is going to be closer than what that is. And the reason I say that is for a couple of different reasons. But on paper, this looks like it's going to be a battle of 2 high-powered offenses. Question to me is, Notre Dame's defense started the season just brutal. But every week since that point, they have continued to improve. Coach Freeman has done an amazing job getting them from out of the gutter to at least in a respectable type of defense. This game being at home is going to help them tremendously. But Jaden Mayava, man, dude is legit for USC. He is as special as it come. He's capable of getting the upset there in South Bend, but that point spread is too big for me. It's just too big for me. So you know what I'm doing? Give me them Trojans. Dun, 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 dun.
SC in the points. I think it might be a clean sweep. Todd's taking SC in the points as well. Wayne, what say you?
Well, I'm going to do something that I don't think I have ever done. And if y'all tell anybody about this, I'll deny it. So, watchers, that goes for you too. I'm going to take USC. I don't usually pick USC for anything, but I'm going to this time because Las Vegas has my number, and I'm going to let them keep calling.
Look, that's a clean sweep for the Trojans for all of us. I think that number's too high. To me, it comes down to this. Both teams do score a ton of points. Let's see, 45.5 for Southern Cal, which is good for third in the country. Notre Dame at 40, which is good for 14th in the country. Both quarterbacks come in this game at top 21 in passing in the country. Literally a coin flip of a game in terms of the spread. I think Notre Dame wins the game because of love and I think CJ Carr is going to have a pretty good game. This is at home. I think it's about an 8 or a 9-point game. I don't see it being 10, but this could come back to haunt me. But I do think it will be a shootout. The total on that one's 61.5. So I'm seeing like a 30-25 type game in that aspect, maybe just under that total. But yeah, coin flip of a game in terms of the spread. I like Notre Dame, but not by 10 points. We all went SC on that one. And the points are fourth and final college game. We did 4 college games. There were 5 total. We didn't do the third Saturday in October. Sorry, Alabama and Tennessee fans. But we went with a different rivalry, one of the best in the college sports, the Holy War. Number 23, Utah, 5-1. At number 15, BYU, who's 6-0. Utah is a road 3.5-point favorite. Total in this one's 49 and a hook. 8 p.m. on Fox. Wayne, what say you?
BYU at home. I'm taking them. They're undefeated, and I think they want to stay undefeated for their home crowd. So I think they're going to be bringing it, and expect Utah to go home 5-2.
Utah, you taking BYU in the
Yep.
points. Todd's taking BYU in the points. Larry, what you got?
Not I said the cat. I'm going with Utah,
Ooh.
and I'm gonna tell you why. Look, winning on the road is gonna always be tough, but BYU has been playing with fire this whole season. Close game after close game after close game. Utah brings an outstanding defense and a run-heavy offense. And on the road, that is the perfect gift for a head coach, is to 3 yards in a cloud of dust and move those chains. That controls the game for me. I think Utah wins outright. Give me them Utes, baby. They're going to handle business.
What is it? Miami does this. Utah does this, right?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So Utah beat West Virginia 48-14 in Morgantown. BYU, like you just said, struggled at home versus struggling West Virginia team, who, might I add, lost to Ohio, not Ohio State.
Yeah.
West Virginia lost to Ohio. To me, that was why I went with Wisenhunt and the veteran coach, one of the longest tenured coaches in the country. Utah has a top 20 scoring offense. They're 18th in the country at just over 39 points per game. They have one of the best defensive units in the country at just scoring defense-wise, 13.8 points per game. That's good for 11th in the country. Devin Dampier, completing 71.5% of his passes, taking care of the football, 11 touchdowns, only 3 interceptions. Give me the Utes, baby. The Utes play a physical brand of defense. I think they lost to the best team in the Big 12 already, to Texas Tech, and they're just trying to get back for a rematch in a possible neutral site, Vegas area. I believe that's where the Big 12 championship is played, is Vegas. Not positive on that. But yeah, I can't wait for this one. Should be a good one. Give me the Utah Utes in the Holy War on the road. And again, I go Utah. Larry went Utah. Wayne BYU. Todd BYU. Let's get to the NFL games. 5th game of the weekend. It's our 3-2 Atlanta Falcons traveling across the country to the 4-2 49ers. San Francisco 2.5-point home favorites. Total in this one's 47.5. 8:20 p.m. on NBC. Sunday Night Football prime time, 2 weeks in a row. Wayne, what say you?
Well, I'm going to take the Falcons and the points on this. 49ers, used to be one of the rivals for the Falcons before they redid the realignment. And even though my wife's cousin is a 49ers fan, in this instance, I really have to take the Falcons.
Todd's going 49ers to cover. Larry, what you got?
I wish I could pick this on Friday as opposed to picking it today, because San Francisco still has too many unknowns. Really, will Kittle be back? Is Warner still going to play?
Correct.
Those are 2 huge, huge pieces for that 49ers team. As it stands right now on a Wednesday, with those unknown, with the way this Falcon defense has been playing, I am going to take Atlanta. If Kittle them was playing, I would take San Francisco. And I'll tell you another reason why I take Atlanta. Usually when Atlanta travels to the West Coast and it's a day game, they have a horrible record in playing West Coast games during the day. The fact that they get them extra few hours and play at night, I think is going to work to their advantage as well, especially coming off of a Monday night game, going West Coast, getting that little extra bit of rest and help, getting back into a routine. Is going to feel like a normal schedule for them, which would be like a 5 o'clock game on the East Coast. So for me, I'm taking the Falcons. I think they can do it. I think Penix continues his performance. I think Bijan continues to do what he does. And I think Drake London continues to put pressure on this 49er defense. The question is, this will be the toughest running back that the Falcons have seen all season long. This will probably be the toughest offensive guru-minded person that they've seen all season long. Can that defense keep up its outstanding work?
We will find out. And I look today, so Fred Warner is out. That is a huge, huge loss for the 49ers. Juwan Jennings, Ricky Pearsall, questionable Both quarterbacks for the 49ers beat up, Mac Jones included, Brock Purdy too. I just think there's too many injuries for me to go against the Falcons even on a short week. Bijan Robinson is the best running back, arguably the best player in football right now. And when you have the best player in football and he's doing what he's doing, it's really hard to pick against a team that's playing as well as the Atlanta Falcons are. So I'm taking the Falcons and the points in this one simply because the Falcons are top two in both categories. Offensively, yards per game, defensively, yards per game. I think they're one of the best teams in the NFL right now. That doesn't mean I'm saying they're the best team, but right now they're playing like it. I think they stay hot, guys, and I think they win this game outright. And I think Romo is going to get a little love. I think we're going to get a last-second walk-off field goal, and people are going to start to forget about Younghoe Koo a little bit and our kicking issues. I'm calling it right now. Romo, game-winning field goal, establishes himself as the kicker for this team. His people are still a little wavy on it, but I like the Falcons. I like the points. It could be a one-point game as well, and then we're covered, folks. Sixth and final game of our pick six. The Bucks are 5-1. The Lions are 4-2. They're the home team. They're 5.5-point home favorites. Is Detroit 52 and a hook on the total. Monday Night Football, 7:00 p.m. on ESPN. The Bucks are just beat up, man. Wide receiver Mike Evans questionable. Chris Godwin doubtful. Bucky Irving doubtful. The cornerbacks, McCullum, Morrison, questionable. Some more questionables on the offensive line. Lions won't lose two in a row, especially at home, where they're undefeated at home on this early part of the season. Give me the Lions to win by a touchdown. Lions cover. Wayne, what say you?
Well, I'm going to try to employ a little bit of negative mojo, if there's any such thing, and pick the Lions for the reason that I need the Bucks to start losing games. And so I'm picking the Lions, not necessarily because I like the Lions at all, but because I'm so anti-Bucks at this point. I need them to start dropping. So I'm taking the Lions in the to cover on this one.
Larry, what you got?
I got Tampa Bay. And the reason I'm picking Tampa Bay is because of number 6. No matter who's hurt, who goes down, who's injured, Baker Mayfield continues to play MVP caliber football. Do not listen. I after everything I saw with the Chiefs and the Lions and what Patrick Mahomes was able to get back to doing, I'm telling y'all, 5.5 is just too much. I think this is a field goal game. I honestly do. Yes, I would love the fact that Detroit is at home. I understand it's a Monday Night Football game. But until Baker Mayfield shows me that he's lesser of a man than what I've seen through 6 games so far this season, to me, Tampa Bay is the best team in football right now. And the famous quote of Ric Flair, to be the man, you got to beat the man.
I don't disagree with Tampa Bay as being one of the best teams in football right now with you either. The Falcons are playing like it. Again, that doesn't mean they are. But the Bucks are right there. Baker Mayfield, 4th in the league, over 1,500 yards passing already. He has put this team on his shoulder. And that 3rd down and 15 conversion the other day was beautiful to watch. The guy just doesn't give up. You got to love his grit. He's a true football player, man. I love to see that. I love the pick, Larry, because I think it's arguably, again, all 6 of these games, folks, were extremely difficult to pick. It's been the toughest week. Again, this is our pick 6. The best football games from college and pro spreads are from Wednesday per ESPNBet.com. Folks, that wraps up the show. Let's get to our final thoughts. Larry, kick us off, buddy.
NBA action. It's fantastic. Guess what, ladies and gentlemen? The Atlanta Hawks could potentially be a top 4 seed in the Eastern Conference. Trae Young, Dyson Daniels, Jalen Johnson, Zachary Richardson, and Kristaps Porzingis, baby. Listen, y'all better get your popcorn. This team is going to be exciting to watch. It's going to be a lot of fast break basketball. Kristaps is in a contract year. He always plays great in the contract year. let me tell y'all something. State Farm Arena is going to be jumping. It's going to be popping. Get your tickets now when you can, because I'm telling you, this is going to be worth watching. Go Hawks.
Yeah, it was my opening statement. I agree with you. I'm very excited to see the Porzingis era tip off here in Atlanta next Wednesday night. Wayne, your final thought of the evening, man.
Well, my final thought has to do with Memphis' upcoming game in Birmingham against UAB, and this is called the Battle of the Bones. There's a big trophy that they've got, looks like a big slab of ribs. Whoever wins the game gets a trophy, but there's also a barbecue cooking contest that happens at the stadium there in the tailgate area, and that's to determine which barbecue is the best, Birmingham's or Memphis. And I've had both, and they're both better than Kansas City, I'll say that.
You got to love college football. Rivalries like that. You have a bones, a barbecue rivalry. This weekend, you got a holy war. You just got to love college football. 5 ranked matchups this weekend. That's my final thought, is college football. 5 ranked matchups this weekend. Again, you can't get much better than college football with the 12-team playoffs and the storylines that it's brought in, where right now, realistically, you have about 30 to 35 teams that realistically have a shot, even if it's a long shot, to get in the college football playoff, and it's miraculous. And I can't get enough of it. I find myself watching the Kennesaw State games on Thursdays and Tuesdays and Wednesdays. I am watching absolutely everything, because every single piece of drama unfolds and just adds a little fold or a little wrinkle in the college football season. And I can't be more ecstatic and excited to see how this 2025 and 26 season unfolds. Just enjoy college football, enjoy it responsibly, and enjoy it safely, guys. That's my final thought. For Larry in Adairsville, Wayne in Memphis, I'm JJ right here in Lilburn, Georgia. Thanks for watching ATL Prime Sports. Again, if you like the content, please like and subscribe, and we'll see you next week, everybody. Get you one.